This is the week of November 18th. I can't believe that time has literally flown by this November. This is actually our third Monday night session, so I'm excited. Good evening to you as well. One of my regulars is out there already chiming in the question box. I appreciate you coming back again and kind of spending the night with us. So, what we're going to do tonight is we're going to run through basically the week at a glance, and we're going to look at some of the news releases, some potential areas, dive into the charts. I'll give you guys my top three, and again, we'll have a little bit of fun tonight. And I just talked to actually Nadex. If you guys like these broadcasts, we actually just put up the registration link for the December ones as well. So if you guys want to join me in December, go ahead and go out there, and you'll be looking for that link. Get registered, and it's just a one-time registration for all the December broadcasts. So I'd love to have you guys out there. December is always a fun month. There's some pretty good trading opportunities that arise, and again, not everybody's doing it, so it's always great. So before we dive into tonight's session, let me make sure that we cover the kind of who I am, so you guys know kind of where my analysis is coming from. If you guys have heard this before, again, I'm just going to be real quick with it. For those of you new out there, let me make sure that I give you kind of a rundown of where I came from, where my background is, so you understand why and how I'm talking about the charts. The strategies and things that I talk about and the way that I analyze charts is different than most people. And again, let me start off. Started trading back at the end of 2000, 2001 time period, so I've gotten to go through two market crashes. Started off as a typical retail trader, learned stocks and options. Didn't necessarily have the capital or the knowledge to do it, but I tried. Did that for a few years, ended up finding foreign currencies, fell in love with the market. Just it was the perfect match for my time, my capital, my risk appetite. I spent numerous years there. Ended up becoming a financial advisor. I worked for one of the big three banks. Got to see what it was like on the inside and kind of what their take was and how they handle kind of the markets and investing, and really what trading meant to them. And I left that arena and ended up going and got on the road and started teaching people how to trade. And because of that, I was actually very, very lucky. I met some market makers out there, and if you guys ever, I'm going to tell you right now, if you take one piece of advice from tonight, if you ever meet a market maker in person, buy them dinner, buy them coffee, pick their brains, because they will tell you things that just will blow your mind. And it really changed the way that I looked at the markets and how I traded. And it really came back to what the mentality of my company is, to keep trading simple. After doing that, what I did was I ended up basically stopping traveling. Had the I already had the boys when I was traveling, had the little girl, wanted them to spend more time at home, and then obviously created the company. And now this is what I do. I end up doing webinars and teach people how to trade the market. So I am a price action trader. I am not one of those traders that believes in spending 16 hours a day sitting in front of a computer staring at charts. I am a big believer in using technology. There are things that almost every platform has out there called alerts. Why stand in front of the computer just staring at it when I can have an alert? Tell me to come back to the computer where a trade setup is occurring. That's typically the way that I do it, and I go about and do a lot of other things, and I enjoy my day. So again, I've created a number of different programs specifically for Nadex. I'm actually going to have to update this slide, but I have the 30-minute trader that I created, 5-minute binary courses, and then many of you have already attended the parabolic retracement webinar that I did a few weeks ago for Nadex. Proud to say that class was actually launched today. Yay me! I was really excited about it. But I hit the button, it is now officially live. So that's pretty exciting. And again, a bunch of my traders are getting into it, asking some questions, and we're having fun with it. So with that being said, let's cover the Nadex risk disclaimer before we get started with any charts or any type of news releases. Trading on Nadex involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors. Trading can be volatile, and investors risk losing the cost to enter the transaction, including fees. The information presented within this presentation is for information and education purposes only and should not be considered an offer or solicitation to buy or sell any financial instrument on Nadex or elsewhere. Now, any trading decisions that you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Nadex contracts are based on underlying asset classes, including forex, stock index futures, and commodity futures. Now, Nadex is a registered trademark of the IG Group. Now, let's jump into my top three. So, for those of you that are returning, again, you guys know that I have my top three news releases of the week. These are not guarantees that these are going to move in any different type of direction. Let me just be clear about that. But what these are, in my opinion, are probably the ones that have the most potential to give us large market moves. And the reason why, again, goes back to somewhat of the news trader that I am, and again, with the parabolic retracements. there are obviously economic news releases out there, and there is an overall general forecast, and the market adjusts itself to that forecast. Well, these three news releases in particular are ones that I feel this week may not necessarily meet that forecast and cause some market movement, okay, which leads to trading opportunities. The first one being on Friday, November 22nd. Can't believe I'm saying the 22nd already, but we are. Thanksgiving is right around the corner. U.S. flash manufacturing PMI. Manufacturing is in a very, very important number right now. We just saw Chinese manufacturing numbers go down a bit, and again, this whole kind of trade war back and forth. There was headlines today, obviously, that China is going to try to wait out the election and the impeachment, and I don't know. I think it's just another stalling technique, and again, I think they're playing with fire at this point, but it is what it is. The market is reacting to that. But manufacturing PMI is one of those numbers that can definitely sway the market, not only for the currency market, but also the indices for the day. I'll tell you right now, you want to have a really bad day on Friday and going into the weekend. This flash manufacturing PMI is bad. It's going to be a rough day in the markets. Okay, so again, let's just be prepared for that coming into it. Number two is also on Friday. It's early morning. And this is the CAD core retail sales numbers. Now, retail sales is a very important number. A lot of these economical news releases are trying to kind of give a prediction about what's going to happen, and there's leading indicators and there's some lagging indicators. Well, retail sales is one of those things that kind of covers. I mean, it's listed as a leading, and here's why. So, retail sales is basically what are people purchasing. Okay, the economy could be absolutely horrible, right? But if people are still continuing to purchase and retail sales are going up, that means that people aren't necessarily as worried about it, which typically means that the economy will be okay. If retail sales is pretty bad, that means that people are already starting to pull back because they expect the worst is about to happen, which again, basically is, leads to, the worst happening because they're pulling back. Thus far, there's been multiple economies in the basically the world right now that have had great retail sales number and the consumer is continuing to purchase even though things are not the rosiest, right? The pound is a great example of that. And then that's number two. Going into number three is Wednesday. Wednesday is also a CAD number, and that's CPI. Consumer Price Index. Again, that's basically what are consumers being charged and what is their level of inflation. Inflation is a huge deal. Why? Because what number is directly related to inflation? Interest rates. Okay, the number one thing that not only changes the country around, but also changes its currencies is interest rates. Okay, there was just recently a couple of weeks ago, actually it's probably like 2 weeks ago now, a statement made about the new environment going into the future may be the continuation of low interest rates and and a high kind of market economy. Okay, and minimal growth. Because that's kind of where we are right now. We still have low rates. We're seeing, GDP numbers, start to rise up a little bit. They're at a higher rate than they used to be. And again, markets, are within striking distance of all-time highs. So that could be something that's pretty interesting. And again, that'd be a CAD play on Wednesday morning. Now, with that being said, let me actually drag in another window real quick. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag in Forex Factory. Let me recycle this real quick. All right. So, whoops. There you go. I'm going to bring this down. I'm going to bring all of our pieces in here, and we're going to go more here. All right. So for the week, as we can see, tonight there was a little bit of monetary policy data. Tomorrow is more or less kind of flat, right? We have some manufacturing sales data for the Canadian dollar early in the morning at about 8:30, and then U.S. building permits, which is not really a big deal. So as far as we're big market movers, Tuesday is kind of shy, so just be prepared for that tomorrow. If you have any sideways horizontal strategies, tomorrow may be a good opportunity to play those. With a lack of kind of catalyst here in planned news releases, really all it's the only thing we could count on is an unplanned release, and the only thing I could really see happening tomorrow would be, I don't know, I mean, if there's a tweet back again for, I don't know, some type of retaliatory tweet or news release from the president in regards to China saying we're going to wait it out. Okay. I think that's the only thing that we could potentially see tomorrow. Besides that, I think we'll be pretty flat. Going into Wednesday, you can see again, very, very kind of slim. You can see that CAD number at 8:30 in the morning. At 10:30, we have crude oil. Okay, and again, if you're not trading oil on, with Nadex, absolutely try it out this week. There's not a better time to do it. There's no better time than now. And again, start it in demo mode if you don't feel confident with it. Use the strategies that you have for all your other asset classes. Try it on crude oil. If they're worth their weight, if they're worth their salt, they will absolutely work in crude oil as well. Okay, I have a few students that absolutely love this release every single week, and it's been a great one. Last week, actually, I had I did something fun for my students. We did a dueling analysis. I am obviously a price action trader. I read candles and I use supply and demand. And a very close friend of mine is a Fibonacci trader, and he did his analysis. I did my analysis, and we actually had an area that both of us were in somewhat of agreement, and it literally bounced right off of that. Absolutely, it was a fun time last week. So again, if your strategies are good, you should absolutely be able to trade crude oil. And again, this is marked orange just because, again, it doesn't have a huge effect on currencies, and this is a currency-based website, obviously called Forex Factory. But again, absolutely, there's some setups on Wednesday morning. And then on Tuesday afternoon, or I'm sorry, Wednesday afternoon, we have FOMC meeting notes. I'm not really expecting a whole lot of explosions this week from it. There's no rate cut or anything like that from it. I think we're pretty much done for the year as far as cuts go. I don't think there's any surprises or anything coming. We'll see. I think they're gonna start giving news or kind of for lack of a better word, breadcrumbs. They're gonna give some breadcrumbs about what's gonna happen next year. All right, but I don't think there's gonna be any huge explosions with that one. Going to Thursday. Okay. Thursday, we're starting off early with this ECB monetary policy meeting accounts. Okay. Now, this is not one of those forecastable. You'll notice that there's not a forecast for it, but anytime we see data that is specifically for the euro, that could be pretty interesting. Okay. Again, we don't see it often, but this is basically the equivalent of FOMC meeting notes. But again, the euro has been pretty weak across the board. It's been losing a lot of ground to the pound. We've seen the pound, inching and grinding up a little bit higher. But again, any sign and any type of information or any type of comment inside of these policy notes about slowing or easing or any sign of weakness whatsoever, I think we're going to have continued euro pressure to the downside. Okay, so just kind of keep an eye on that one. Now, Friday. Friday is where we got a bunch of stuff going on. Again, a lot of euro news. You'll see this is packed with euro news. Again, we have French flash services and we have German flash services. Okay, why is this important? Well, these are the two biggest economies. Again, we talked about PMI, right? That's an important number. Okay, the fact that basically this is all Europe. Again, this is really going to, again, these numbers are not picked to be great. Okay. This number down at 42, this number at 50. These two aren't bad, the 53 and the 50. And again, don't worry so much about what the numbers are, but if they come in as a miss, there's going to be some big movement in the euro. Okay. And then again, you'll see the overall European manufacturing. Now, if you're an East Coaster like me, these are very early in the morning. They can be very difficult to trade, but, and I say but, it doesn't mean that you couldn't set them up Thursday night, right? One of the nice things about Nadex is we have a lot of different strike variations, so you can absolutely, without a doubt, set these up and again use your technicals to make sure that these are all lining up. Okay, so again, definitely ways to trade those even if you live on the East Coast. Then 8:30 in the morning, that retail sales number. Okay, this is going to be a big one for the dollar CAD currency pair. Definitely, and again, it's already you're looking at the previous over here. The previouses were already negative. They're already showing a slowing in the Canadian economy. I'll show you on the charts where I think this one potentially go, but I think this could give us a nice little bounce this week, right? And then manufacturing flash PMI at 9:45, and then we're basically done for the day. So one of the interesting things that I like about this that definitely keeps me intrigued is the release time. Okay, this one being at 9:45. The most typical reversal times in the morning are at 10 and at 10:30. Well, this is at 9:45, so as the market is reacting to this, if this number comes in bad, and again, if you want some data on there, you talk about this above 50 is good and below 50 is bad. Well, it's picked to come right in at 51, and you'll see the forecasts, and it's not been bad, right? But again, now it's the summertime. Are we going to contract? What's going on? What's happening, right? Trade war, is it good? Is it bad? Is it not good? Again, this may be a little bit low. Okay, if this is low, again, that could really kind of change the day that we have on Friday, and it could really, really put us whether in a negative spin or a really, really good spin, whether we have, expansion or contraction. All right, so that's kind of the week at a glance. Now let's go over and let me pull some charts out here for you guys. Oops, not that one. For you. Sorry about that. Let me bring this back up again. All right, so as that's loading up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the more or less the Nadex-based currency pairs, right? Looking at the Aussie yen, right? This may not be a pair that you trade. We were talking kind of down draw. And going into last week, last Thursday, we talked about it was hitting a big area on the daily, right? A daily buying area. And the big question was, what would it do? Where would it kind of pull back to? Where would it be pushing to? again, we did get a bit of a grind up, and we had this one little area of basing that was in here. And again, this was actually drawn on the lower time frame. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense on the larger, but what you can see is it kind of based, and then it just stopped there on Friday, right? So there wasn't really too much that we could have done in there. I'll remove that because it's a little too topside. But as we can see, the price actually pulled back and it got very, very close and actually just missed by a little bit on the 4 hour. Okay, this was a 4 hour area of basing. It was an old area of demand, which ended up becoming broken and then retested in that Harry Potter trade. If you guys hear me talk about it, I'm gonna have to like trademark it or something like that because I keep bringing up this Harry Potter trade. It's basically just a momentum breakout. But in this case, it went back up, grabbed more orders, and that's where what it used as an area where it was reversal. And again, this was super early this morning at 3 o'clock in the morning. If you weren't awake, not much you can do about it. So it's pushed back down, and we are sitting in just below an area of sellers right now. I'm sorry, of buyers right now. And again, hit a little bit of resistance, but not really surprised by what I can see in the candle. So the big question now is it going to come up and grab some more orders and continue to drive down? And if it does, is there really much for us to trade in this position? Okay, you guys can see that we only have about 30 pips before we run back into this daily buying area. At this point, I would probably just show some caution. I'd probably wait. I'd set an alert. If you guys are familiar with setting alerts, I'd set it just a little bit ahead of the zone, maybe at the 73.45 area. If price is able to ding that, use something like this as an alert. Send yourself a function, have it email you, have it go to your phone, your smartphone, whatever it is. But that's pretty much what I do right now on this one, is just show a little bit of caution. Wait till we can get a better buying price on it. We've already seen that it barely got into the zone and it was turned around and kind of pushed back up in a pretty nice rally. From that zone, I mean, you're talking about 95 pips to the top side. Meanwhile, we only have about 30 to the downside. So the ATR, this position or this pair is, I mean, obviously it's drastically reduced right now, but you're talking about 55. So it could absolutely do it tomorrow. I'll be looking for that tomorrow if we can get the price down this low. Now, looking at Aussie dollar. Aussie dollar actually had an interesting trade setup. For those of you that follow me, you guys know that I'm a very big, I love Sunday market gaps, right? Gaps are one of my favorite things to trade. In currencies, we really don't have them that often, but Sunday night is the one time that we do have them. And we had that completion just a little while ago. It's actually pulling back a little bit right now, but I'm not surprised that it turned where it did based off the 4 hour. You can't really see it. It's pretty close. We got within a few pips of reaching our full profit target on this one. If you guys don't know my Sunday night gap play, it's one of those things that I absolutely love. It's a very, very easy strategy to take advantage of. Unfortunately, it only happens on Sunday night, so it's not one of those big things. I think I'm going to end up having to do a video and do a special presentation or something for Nadex so you guys can take advantage of it, because it's a fun one to trade. You guys can see it came up, it based, it spent some time up here and dropped away, and that's where it is now. It is approaching a level in the 30-minute though, so we need to be a bit cautious there. Now, as you can see, this one has definitely been in a dollar strength type decline here, right? The dollar is the second currency, or the second position. It's driving down again, impulse correction, and again, it's pushing through that impulse move. And again, it ended up here. This is the Thursday market news, and again, price came up and it just basically stopped. I absolutely love it when they stop inside of zones because it typically foreshadows what's going to happen on Monday. And that was the case here. Again, we're seeing a little bit of a pullback. We are in a downtrend setup right now on the 30-minute. This is going to be one that I think news will kind of have a little bit of a benefit on. But again, a little bit shy on Aussie news this week. Okay. Other areas I'm looking for, I have this area marked off besides this zone here. And again, it's spent a lot of time there. I don't expect it to hold too much longer, but you guys can see there's a bit of a gap up here at 68.37. That's another area that I have an alert set on. I'm waiting for price to come back up. And again, if it just grinds, I'll be looking to, I'll be looking for a potential short somewhere in this area based off of the movement that we had, this large extended range, extended body candle, right? Love those, especially when there's a gap, and that's on a Wednesday. Okay, so that's my next big area of shorting. That Sunday night gap play was from there. And again, we just missed our profit target. Okay, so that's the first thing to the top side. On the bottom side, I mean, it's kind of, I got these two levels down here. If you guys scroll back on the 4 hour, you guys should be able to see them. These levels are at 60, and then 67.44. Okay, those are two areas where I believe we'll have potential potholes. And again, you guys can see it getting a kind of the grand scheme of things here, right? We're kind of smack in the middle between the highs and lows, so I expect there'll be some type of smaller bounces off of these, but we'll see if we can continue to have, dollar buying pressure. Again, this would be dollar strength to the downside and Australian weakness. The one interesting thing about this pair that I will say, though, is any type of Chinese numbers that are bad will also affect the Aussie. Because, again, when Chinese manufacturing is down, they get their natural resources from Australia. Okay, so it's kind of one of those things you would think, oh, trade war, this would be bad. This is going to pop. Maybe, maybe not, because the trade war also hurts China. And if China is not importing natural resources, it's bad for Australia as well. So it's a little bit of a tricky play there. Okay, just be aware of that if you're trying to think of, oh, well, there's a tweet, it's going to do this. You got to be a little bit trickier with this one. All right, next one is Euro Pound. So Euro Pound has been one of those painful ones. Last week, what we were hoping is that we were going to come into this area and it was going to bounce. And it did. It gave us a little bit of a bounce to Friday. And then the weekend came in and it just kind of went back to the same area. And again, it really hasn't moved too much. We had a bit of a pull up. We just missed the Sunday night gap play in this one. It went down and then it pulled back up basically to where it gapped to. So in essence, yes, it did kind of break through a little bit of this zone. We did get one spike down here at the 3 o'clock as we were reacting to weekend news. And then all it did was drive right back up to where we gapped to. So, and from Friday, let's see, where this thing closed on Friday, you're talking about 15 pips. So in a day, this one really hasn't moved too much. It's been very, very slow. There's just not a lot of movement in it. If you guys are looking, again, I'll drag Forex Factory back in. One of the tools I use is this scanner, this 24-hour pip change. You can see this one over here. It's only -8 in 24 hours. Okay, so again, not a gigantic market mover by any stretch of the imagination. All right, so in this one, I would say, later in the week, I am definitely thinking that I'm gonna be a little bit more bearish in this position. I do feel that we're gonna have some numbers that aren't the best for the European Union. It's one of those situations where if you have did you ever hear that statement? No news is good news. I think that's kind of what's been happening with the European Union. There hasn't been a lot because they don't really have a lot of European specific news, like Euro Union, specific news. It's always through France or Germany, and some of those numbers haven't been the best. Um, but like the pound has a lot more, right? And again, dollar has a lot more. Australia has a lot more than the actual European Union itself. So I think the no news has been good news for this pair. And yes, it's been getting weaker and weaker and weaker. But as you can see, I mean, this is what we're normally used to. Bounces up and forth, back and forth, up, trending. And this is what we've dealt with now. A lot of sideways, a little bit of a pop, and then a very, very slow ground sitting on top of an area of buyers. Okay, so let's hope we can get some movement later in the week is all I gotta say, right? Looking at the Euro Yen. So, Euro Yen, okay? This is one of those situations where, again, this one has had some great movement. There's times where this one is slow and you get frustrated with. This one has been bouncing all over the place. We actually had some continuation patterns. When you look, we had Friday was here, okay? Friday was right here, and we kind of gapped into that zone, okay? Which again, that's typically long for us. And again, that's what we did. We saw it come up, and then obviously this morning at 8, boom, drop, and now it's at the same exact level, hasn't moved. So fortunately, again, no European news, not really a whole lot that we have in this one. Interesting position in this though. As you can see right here on Monday at 3 o'clock in the morning, we did come back up and hit this basing level. This is very reminiscent of what we saw on the Aussie yen. Remember we talked about that if it goes over, I had that one level marked off where we had that nice drop with the extended range candle. This was the same situation. That's exactly what the rally up actually ran into. So had you been looking on the daily, you could say, okay, we were, until this little bit of a down draw here as it was moving up, which is this piece right here, we were in a downtrend setup situation. We had rallied all the way back from this level of buying right to the top side and went right into a zone. And again, I'll extend this across so you guys can see it. I can only adjust the top. I can't adjust the bottom, right? You guys can see what happened. Okay. Like I said, you guys see the circle? I can only adjust the top. The bottom is not moved, right? That's what we hit. And again, you guys can see how far we drove back down again and went right to the start of this move. So basically a textbook entry based off of a 4-hour entry, downtrend setup based off the daily 4-hour to where we are right now. We're on the upper side, and again, I would say that I'm definitely a bit more bearish in this position, but we've already gotten quite a bit of movement to the downside. Where this hit, there's not a whole lot of buying in here. I think we probably are clear down to this 119.62. But again, we need to see if this level of basing is what's going to give us the catalyst to kind of turn and head to the downside. I don't really see a whole lot of candles in here to be able to stop us to the downside, and we have just bounced off of this 4-hour selling zone. Okay, so definitely a bit more bearish in this one. Ways that you could potentially play this, like I said, tomorrow's not a big moving day. So one of the ways I like to play positions like this when I'm up inside of an area or I see some type of level of basing is with spreads. One of the things I like about spreads in this case is that the spreads tend to offer a little bit lower entry cost if you're able to catch them at the floor or ceiling. Well, we're pretty close to a floor or ceiling. just based off of, again, how much movement we've actually saw today. So those tend to be good kind of setups for me. If you're not looking at spreads, again, this is where I would use them when I don't expect there to be, huge movement the next day. And again, the ATR on this one is also getting very, very small. Now, looking at the euro dollar, as you can see, the euro dollar, it's only up about 11. This had a pretty expected, day. Again, looks like it's a lot of movement, but it's 11 pips in 12, in 24 hours. And a lot of that had to do with this retracement from 10 o'clock all the way back down again. The total level of this bounce to the downside was about 30 pips. So you can see it's up 11, but that's after it dropped about 30. Okay. And again, you guys can see right here. See this blue line? This is the alert function. Okay, I wanted to be alerted when we broke this to see if we could get some type of an entry. Where was it running into? You can see that price had been here and here up into the same zone. And again, it's much easier to see over here on the daily where we had this dropping pattern, this kind of slowing, and then the kind of acceleration out of that same area where this blue line is. Okay, so again, what did we do? We got up to the wicks. It didn't get quite as high. It actually kind of missed it, to go higher. So again, one of the patterns that I talk about in situations like this where you have kind of a little bit of a funky zone, but it's an area that they're sellers. We've seen the sellers push the price back down again. There's things like this, which there's a confirmation entry, right? I've talked about before in this channel, the red, green, red, or the green, red, green. Well, here's a situation right here where we have a confirmation entry to the downside. You're able to take a little bit of risk in that position there. And again, you could run this all the way back down to the start of the move had you enjoyed it, or had you, and you would like the setup and, again, take this long kind of extended ride back to the bottom side, right? Again, this is one of those ones today without a whole lot of news catalyst. After this thing had driven all the way back up again, I was expecting some type of whether pullback or retracement. On the lower time frame, it's obviously a retracement back. On this time frame, it still looks like a healthy pullback, right? An impulse correction, impulse correction, impulse correction, impulse correction, looking for an impulsive move. And again, we did kind of come down into this level here, but this is a pretty ugly level. It's just kind of going back and forth. And again, this is super early Monday morning when there's not really a whole lot of traders on. So not the prettiest of setups, but it was definitely in a short position from this blue dotted line. And again, I didn't have to be there for it. Actually, this is one of those ones that it just happened to coincide with, it being at 10:30 to where most people are awake for it. Okay. Areas I'm looking at, again, later in the week, if we get any type of spike, if this continues to drive higher, this zone sitting right here, you guys should be able to see it. Go to your 4-hour charts. Look at this push down, this little bit of a pop-up, and this large, like fast move, 8 hours of basically straight down before it hit this zone. That's a nice little area. Keep that marked off on your charts, and likewise on the bottom. We did have a nice little pop-up, a bit of sideways here, and then another pop-up again before we kind of drove across. So that's some nice areas here. Again, that lower area is going to be at 110.25 to basically 110.15, about a 10 pip zone there. And then the top side over here, we're going to have 111.38 to about 111.22, so about 15 pips, 16 pips on the top side. And again, a spike up or down in either of those two directions could give us a great entry for a buy or sell. All right. Looking at the dollar, or I'm sorry, not the dollar, the euro yen. All right, so this one, it's very hard to see on this chart because I have a bunch of lines drawn on the lower time frames. So, okay, this is areas that we've been looking for. Okay, we had some basing. So here are the two levels. Again, these blue levels were from a zone that I had marked off before that we had bounced off of already. So these are just the old tops and bottoms because I wanted to know where they were on the lower time frames. They were lower time based trades. But the purple lines is really what we've been focusing on. If price was able to get back up into this purple zone between 141 and 141.66, I was looking for a potential short. Now, this is one that I like in Nadex better than I liked in spot currencies because 66 pips is a lot of risk for a position for me. Okay, you could get much lower risk with a Nadex binary or even a spread in this case. And you can see price went up pretty high into the zone. Okay, so you would have gone pretty deep, about 50 pips into the red if had you taken this one in the spot currency realm. But with Nadex, again, a lot of times that doesn't necessarily matter. Now, we got our confirmation entry up here at about, what, 141.19. So again, grabbing entries in this area, you can see that price was able to kind of rally, about 70 pips to the downside today before it hit one of these levels on the downside. And again, this is a level that I was watching out for, okay? And a lot of this was basically based off of what I had seen previously. And where we ended up on Friday, I wanted to see if we were able to burst through. And when we did, I was like, okay, this is going to be a great kind of pullback opportunity for this position. Another thing, again, I'm sure my students are screaming on this one. did you see the Sunday night gap? Yes, I saw the Sunday night gap, guys. Here's the Sunday night gap fill. And again, the thing rocketed ship off the top. I'm pretty sure a couple of you guys got this one today. But again, great little, Sunday night gap scenario in this case, right? Where we are now in this position, again, this is pound strength. It doesn't look like it on the daily. And again, ignore all the blue lines, but you guys can see the candles there. It's kind of gone back and forth. We just hit this zone, so I'm actually more into this one to the downside, thinking that we could potentially, if again, any type of pound weakness, it's going to push, I believe, back down in the 139.50 range. It's about 125 pips from where we are right now. Now, the ATR on this one has just been absolutely just crashing through the floor. You can see it. It was up here, and then I put this red line. I was like, okay, when is it going to break 100? And it has. We're at 93 right now. Okay. Weeks ago, you can see back here to October 22nd, not even a month ago, the ATR was at 167. Okay. Like the peak was at 170. We are now down to 92. So you can see this level of consolidation has just been sucking the energy out of this pair. It's just crazy. A lot of this is having to do with Brexit, waiting for a vote in December. And again, we're kind of in the doldrums at this point, just waiting for something to happen. We saw this back in the beginning of the year when we had, 250 pips pops in either direction. Now, what are we doing? We're kind of, we're playing for peanuts now at this point in this pair based off of what it was able to do before. But again, 4-hour zones have been nice. Again, in this case, we're using a 4-hour zone and a 30-minute target based off of, again, a prior level combined with the Sunday night gap. Okay. And for those of you that are on the line, right, if you guys want to start, looking at Sunday night gaps, use the 30-minute candle on the closing candle of Fridays. Mark those off and start looking at those, and you guys will get a magic treat for that one. A little bit of a golden nugget I'll give you guys for tonight. Really, where we are right now, I'm looking to get short if this thing gets back up into the 101 range, the the 141 range, and otherwise, I'm looking for somewhat of a break of. I mean, actually, really, I'm probably waiting. I'm looking for 141 on the top side. I'm going to be waiting for 140.41 to the downside. I'm going to take this. I'll be looking for any type of bounce off of that gap area there. I'll put that, you guys can see it real quick. Right in there. Okay. So again, you've seen respect here. We've seen respect here. It's only the third attempt. I'll be looking for some type of a pop there as well. All right. Kind of top and bottom. Actually, I'd probably use that for downside, and I'll probably be looking at probably that for my top side. Probably right in there. Okay. So that's going to be 141.25 to 141.40, as well as the 140.40 to 140.30 to the downside. So it's about 10-15 pips risk in either direction. Any type of spike up or back, looking for some type of a channel to be formed from those two positions. Looking at the pound dollar. All right, so you guys can see. And last time we hit it, we had a nice push to the downside, and we got as low as 127.66. This week, we had the same thing with the gap. We did not get the gap entry. It got super, super close, and I would love to say that it was there, but you probably missed it by just a few pips as far as the entry goes on that one. But just life, it happens. And prices rallied all the way up, and we banked right off the daily zone again. So at this point, probably looking for some, I would have to say between the two, I am probably more bearish biased at this point. We've hit the zone a couple times, but, this 130 is a big psychological level. There's a lot of zeros in there. We've gotten close to it. I would say this one is probably similar to like oil was the first time it hit 100. Like people wanted it to get there so bad, even though there's nothing justifying it. I don't think there's anything justifying the price going up this high right now. Back up to the 130s. But again, because it's so close, I believe it's acting like a magnet. And we start getting some more pound news, I believe this will probably fall to the downside. I'm happy to see the pound strength in there, but I don't feel that the pound is in a stronger position than the dollar. We just haven't seen the dollar strength really kind of, again, no news is good news, right? We had no real big pound news. We haven't heard anything in the news about Brexit happening or not happening, but we have heard a lot of stuff about the dollar going back and forth again with trade wars. And I think that's what's led this one this high, okay? Start giving us some pound news, and we'll start seeing this thing come back down, okay? Looking at dollar Swiss. All right, so dollar Swiss is making an attempt. Aspect, we would have had to readjust just slightly based off of this, although we still didn't get entry. Okay, you can see that we've been really kind of bouncing back and forth, and as I talk about it, it's like a hairy caterpillar, right? it's one little kind of move back and forth, but there's a lot of wicks on the top, like one of those really dangerous, like really like do I touch it, do I not touch it type thing. I wouldn't say the market's trending. It's been very, very flat really since Wednesday of last week. And we've had a little bit of push down, a little bit of push up, and again over. And then again, you guys can see here was Friday, little push down. We went right back to where we were Friday, push down, and then we're right back in the same area. So really since Friday morning, I mean, actually, if you want to be really technical, Friday super early in the morning, we're in that same ballpark within 10 pips of it. So haven't really heard much from it. Hasn't really given us a whole lot there. On the smaller time frames, again, we had this level marked off here. Um, I'm not going to show you guys. I won't do it. I'll just put a horizontal line across. You can see that we did get a bounce off of that this morning at about 8 o'clock in the morning had you taken this position. This was a very, very small risk trade that we had here, right? And again, this being up here at the 99.13 level, this was definitely something you could have taken in binaries. And you can see within, what are we talking, 2 hours down to the 9:30 time frame. This is where all the movement came in this pair. You're talking about 37 pips. And this one, just in general, had about 7 pip risk. So this was actually a play for a spread or a binary. There's actually two different ways to take advantage of this one this morning. Okay. And again, that was based off of a level that we had last week. That was from last Wednesday. But for the most part, besides that, all that did is that came from this blue area here, which is this level of basing before the candle. So if we can get back up into that area, I would potentially be looking to take something short. Again, depending on what time of day we get to that area, that would determine whether I'd be looking at a spread or a binary. Go across the dollar CAD. Excuse me. Grab my tea, but my daughter. All right, so one of the things I like about dollar CAD where we are right now. So this is a prior level, okay? It was a level that was violated. It hit here, and then again, we thought it was stabilizing, kind of came up again, and really number four, and seeing it stop here, seeing it stop here, and seeing it burst through here, I'm kind of thinking that we drew the zone a little bit large. Again, sometimes that happens with the closing. I feel like if we would have drawn this from the start of the green down here, again, that would have given us our signal that this was number four popping through. So with that being said, it is now pulled back to that same level, okay? Now, typically, it's not necessarily an area that we're looking to get long off of, but what we will do is we look for a continuation pattern in this one. What I'm looking for here, and again, last week we talked about getting up to 33. We just didn't quite make it. 33 was there. It kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and then really the Thursday data came in, and again over the weekend, and we just got that weakness back out. And again, the CAD strength came in because it was no good news, good news. But what we're looking for now is I'm looking for a continuation pattern. I'm looking for a break of this prior level, and this level is at 132 to 132.11, so very, very small area. If we can get a break below, I'm looking for an entry if we can pull back and then take this to the downside. Now, again, a lot of this will also depend on when this occurs. It could happen tomorrow. It could happen Wednesday. Okay, there is news that we're going to have later this week. Again, Wednesday we have the CAD CPI data. That could be the catalyst we need to be able to break through and take a retrace in this trade. But again, we could get 30, 40 pips to the downside, and we can already have this position moving. Large areas I'm looking for inside of a new spike. I don't love them. I'm just going to say I'm going to get out there right now and say I don't love them. But again, you got to respect this area down here at 131.80. If, again, depending on how much movement we have in the next 2 days before the news release, this zone down here at 131.35 to 131.15, definitely a fan of that area for any type of a spike. And what I mean to that is if we get some type of a new spike that shoots this thing down, if it does a spike here, I'm going to be looking to take some type of potential long bounce off of that area, okay? Top side, not really a whole lot clean. You're going to have to respect this level up here at 132.50. Besides that, really not a whole lot. There's just a lot of chop back and forth in this one. A little bit of an area here, but again, we already saw what that bounced off of, okay? That's about it for this position right now. Looking for, again, until the news, I'm looking for a break, a retest, and then a potential short. If we get a spike straight down again, I'll be looking for taking a long back up into this zone. Okay. Now looking at dollar yen. It loads. There we go. All right. So look at this one. Again, we had one bit of movement up. We had a real clean area here, and then there was another one formed last Wednesday just below, and that's really what price ran up to today. You guys can see it here. If you had to mark off the next level, there was another level right there, and that's what we hit before we went to the downside. I did not catch this one earlier today. I was actually busy when this one triggered.
Again, super early in the morning trade, but at 8 o'clock this morning, right before kind of the markets open, U.S. traders stepped online is when you were able to get full entry in this one. Not a horrible mover, right? If you were able to grab it. Again, in the spot currency realm, you're talking about 10 pips risk. So again, lines up with a lot of binaries and spreads that were available at the time. And it moved about 50. So you can see quite a nice bit of movement in the first 2 hours, right? There's a 2 hour move, and it is 44 pips. Had you been up and taking this one, I'm a very big proponent in taking 2 hour binaries, particularly in the morning, and I especially like them on Monday mornings. This would have been an absolute perfect setup. If you guys aren't familiar with the contract specifications of forex, the strike differential is 4 pips. Okay, this moved 48 pips, so it moved the equivalent of 12 strike prices to the downside in 2 hours. Okay, very, very powerful when you take those type of positions. All right. And again, this gave the absolute perfect setup. It pulled back into a zone that we were able to see on the 4 hour. Again, we were in a downtrend setup on the daily because, again, that was during this rally up, right? It was green, green inside of the red, downtrend setup into the 4 hour zone, pop to the downside, 50 pips in 2 hours. Okay, great, great setup. Now, where we are now, obviously we've driven closer to the bottom side. We're kind of smack in the middle, right? We have one little zone here at 108.23 to 108.15. And then again, this zone is still valid up top, 109.03 to 109.14. So, really I'd be kind of looking for, a potential short here as well as a potential long down in this area, depending on what the arrival looks like. Again, dollar yen is one of those positions that will react to the news. If we have some, trade war information tomorrow, again, that could be something that, this one reacts to as well. Where we are right now, cautious. We're kind of in no man's land right now. We're more or less at the 50% mark between an upper selling zone and a bottom buying area. So again, be a bit cautious of this one tomorrow. On the shorter term, we are, kind of in a basing area. So I wouldn't be surprised if, we get some type of a turnaround and drop and attempt to go lower versus, or maybe even go slightly higher to this like red and then just where this green area is, to the downside. If we go to this level of basing somewhere in here. Okay. If we go into that area, we may also that may be the actual turning point off of that zone, and then retrace this one back down into 108.23. Okay. So that's really it for those two on the top and the bottom for the week. Like I said, a lot of these plays are going to be more longer term, end of the week type situation. The two biggest one, the flash manufacturing and the core retail sales, are both on Friday. Like I said, looking at this for the week, I'll just leave it medium. You guys can see a lot of the data, Tuesday pretty low. Wednesday gets to be a little bit more. Thursday and not bad, but then Friday is when everything comes in big. Okay, a lot of stuff going on Friday. So I think late week is going to be really where to grab stuff. I think the rest of the week is going to be a little bit slower. You're going to have to look at smaller time frames. And again, use shorter term duration binaries. Like I said, taking a 2 hour, it would have been the play of the day, would have been the trade of the day had you been able to take it this morning. I didn't get it, unfortunately. I missed it. But again, would have been a real nice setup. Again, like I said, 12 strike prices to the downside. Heck of a trade. Heck of a trade. All right. So, with that being said, let's bring this one back up again. Back down. If you guys have any questions with anything I talked about, you're more than welcome to email me. My email, if you guys didn't see it in the beginning, is support@keeptradingsimple.com. You can go to the website, keeptradingsimple.com. You can go catch us on Twitch. Actually, I'm jumping over there after this. Or you can catch us on Instagram. And for those of you that were part of the parabolic retracement class, again, that class is now live, and you are able to get to that one from going to the website as well. So thank you guys so much for coming out tonight. I will see you guys next week, and I wish you guys good trading this week. Remember, always focus on risk first, profit second. All right? Take care, guys, and I'll catch you next week. All right, so you guys should still be able to hear me because I am still connected. Let's bring the scanner up real quick. Let me know if you guys can still hear me over there. You guys are like ticket, 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 ticket. I haven't done the tickets yet. You guys are jumping ahead. Here, I'll do it right now. I know you guys are just here for the pip chips. Bam, there you go. All right, there. Pip chips are up. Bring this down. All right, clear? What? Yep. All right, so I was obviously getting that class together for you guys today, but did anybody catch that 2 hour bind this morning at 8? Please tell me somebody caught that. Please, please, please. Please, please, please tell me somebody caught it. That was a 14. That was a 14. No, it was a 14 strike drop in 2 hours. You caught it? Nice. Good. At least somebody did. Yes. Yeah, like I said, my entire goal today was not. I looked at it like no news releases. All right, I'm literally just. I got to get this class up today, and it's up. No, I was in the NQ. Sorry. It's all right, James. Won't hold it against you. But like I said, guys, if you didn't see it, the course is up. Um, of course you were, Ernest. Of course. Vanessa, would you just sage him already? Just sage him. I'm at Stop and Shop. All right, so looking at today, obviously Monday, probably pretty flat. There was like what, 3, 4 Sunday night gap plays today. I hope that you guys were going to take, able to take advantage of those. Because they are so limited, I'm going to probably put a video together for those things, guys, just to kind of go over the strategy for those, just because, again, being, once a week, it's tiny, Um, I'm going to put something together for that so I can make sure that everybody has the rules there. But there was 3 of those today, okay? 3 really good ones that I saw that were easy. I mean, the pound yen was obviously one, and that sucker moved. So definitely some stuff you guys could have grabbed out of there. But, looking at the board across the top, you can see we had 12, 29. I mean, 29 was the winner for today, so we're not talking about a whole lot. Yen, obviously, we know what happened there. Again, that was kind of an up-down situation. CAD, same thing. Aussie. Euro pound 10 and 12. So not a whole lot. We had the monetary policy notes for Australia. Again, probably why we're seeing the movement right now in the Aussie dollar to the downside. I swear I had my tea in here and the baby walked out with it. So basically so I don't know how many of you guys have kids out there, but I think we're at the stage now where so basically I have the baby's like water bottle and she has my tea somewhere upstairs. We're at the stage now where whatever is daddy's is Jinjin's. So like nothing belongs to me anymore. I have to share every bit of food I have because she wants it. Doesn't matter what it is. Even if she's eating the same thing, she wants what I want. So, or what I'm eating. Doesn't matter. Everything is Dada. Whatever Dada has, I have to have. Um, but yes, I'm missing tea. But again, so you're not seeing a lot of movement today. It's Monday. The gap plays were there. Like I said, it's probably one of the best gap weeks we've had for a while. Like I said, there was at least 3, if not 4, of those gap plays that we covered already in the pairs that we were in. So, yeah, that was great. I was excited for her. Yeah, see, Vanessa, you got your first one. Look at that. Look at that, guys. Mentoring session on Thursday. She gets her first gap play on Sunday, 3 days later. See how good mentoring is? She'll walk out with a mason jar. I was too beat up from working this weekend. Yeah, I tried to work this weekend a little bit. All right, so going into tomorrow, I expect tomorrow to be a slow day as well. For those of you that know butterflies, tomorrow could definitely be a butterfly day for a bunch of different things. Look for some zones. Really, I mean, as I mentioned it in the Nadex presentation, I mean, looking down right now at the news, I mean, all we're really seeing right now is this drama, between, I'm going to meet with, this. China's walking back. Yeah, of course China is, because China has some leeway in it, right? They're like, oh, we can just ride this thing out, Um, I think they're playing with a bit of fire there. My take on this whole thing is um, regardless of what side of the aisle you believe in and you support, um, again, there's just been a lot of, I mean, the China situation is something that should have been handled a long time ago. Okay. The fact that it's being handled with it and the fact that things are being kind of slowed down because of other drama, I think we should settle China first, and then whatever you want to happen, let the chips fall the way they will. But the Chinese situation has to be taken care of, because the longer they're allowed to go, it's causing problems worldwide, and basically every country in the world is supporting us. We're winning, World Trade Organization kind of suits and everything like that. But I'll tell you this right now: if they keep messing around, I do believe that, for lack of a better word,
they're going to pull the nuclear solution. And I don't mean like shooting bombs and things like that. I mean like economically, they're going to jack the tariffs so high that they will attempt to destroy that country economically. Um, we can survive without them economically. They cannot survive without us economically. And it's kind of the same situation. And I made this comment before, and I just want to explain it. OPEC OPEC decided to play a very sketchy game for years and years and years. And they were just the bully in the room. They charged whatever they felt like. They manipulated everything to make billions and billions and billions of dollars off other people. Now we don't need OPEC anymore because they ended up pushing things too far. I do believe if China continues to push much farther and tries to attack at the same time, I do feel like Trump, and again, I don't think, I mean, regardless of whether he did something or not, I don't think he'll be able to be removed from office from anything that he did. Um, I think that he will go absolutely crazy and he will try to destroy that country economically. That's just my take on it. I'm just going to say it like that. If you disagree with me, we're allowed to disagree. It's totally okay. But like I said, no one country is bigger than anybody else until they've changed, the reserve currency of the world and things aren't priced in U.S. dollars. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. And like I said, OPEC pushed it too far. We no longer need OPEC whatsoever. Okay. And when OPEC, when 5% of an OPEC country's oil got shut down, what do we do? Nothing. Nothing. Oil actually dropped after that. So, as I said, you push too far, you get hammered down. And I think at this point, if they go too much farther, we are so close to a deal. Again, egos are going to get involved, and I think it'll be interesting. But with that being said, I think there are other countries that will definitely be able to benefit from this. Um, Honestly, I mean, if it gets real bad, I wouldn't be surprised if Trump potentially steps in and tries to start partnering with other countries to have them pick up the slack and start producing more things. And then if we don't need China because of this whole situation, if there's other nations that we feel that we can take advantage of, I'm pretty sure we'll do it. There are plenty of third world countries that would love some type of beneficial contract and trade deals and things like that with the United States. We have the consumer that everybody wants. Okay, um, so it is what it is. That's about the only thing I could see kind of getting thrown into. That's the only monkey wrench I see tomorrow. Is basically going to be some type of retaliatory tweet of him basically saying, "Oh yeah, yeah, well here, hold my beer, watch this." Right? So I think it'll get a bit nuts. Now, looking at the scanner. So the scanner is providing some interesting opportunities today. All right. And again, I had a meeting. Actually, I did a mentoring session with Sean last week, and I talked to him about how I use this scanner for the overnight discussions because, again, this matches the charts that we're looking at. Okay. During the day, though, again, you use different time frames. Okay. Actually, here, let me take. I'll do this one. Here. We'll do 1, 3, 30-minute, and 5. Oh, hold on. Month, the daily. So this is what it looks like during the day for me. Okay, things are a little bit faster and a little bit more in touch. And again, you'll see the difference between the two. It's much, much faster. And again, so this is the recommended settings that I would use if you're using the scanner during the day. Okay, now in this case, your 3 hours. Obviously, it's not a 4, but 3s are still very rock solid. You're going to be using this, obviously, for kind of where your trend state is. And again, some of your higher zones you're still going to do on the 3 hour, but you're going to refine them with the 30 minutes. The 5 is really only for like minor slight adjustments and for confirmation entries during the day. Everything else is really going to be done in a combination of these two charts. Okay. So this is what your day setup looks like. All right. All right. So I'm going to switch it back. What do we got here? Daily, 4 hours and 30 minutes. Oh, it figures I left that one up there. Bam, he's back. All right, so looking at the majors, okay, so you're seeing this pound sideways, up confirmed, and you're seeing a little bit of up, a little bit of up, right? So what we're looking for, particularly in the 1 hour and the 4 hour, is any type of a pullback, right? Because as soon as we get a pullback, what do we have? Uptrend setup. Okay, uptrend setup, because this means it's confirmed, meaning it's past the anchor. So again, that would be an uptrend setup situation. Okay, now we are obviously in the higher end of that range. So again, we'll dive into that one a little bit. But again, it's sitting in there, and it's in one of those positions where it looks like we will, potentially be getting another setup in that one to the top side. Okay, Euro is also going up. Again, this is giving us some dollar weakness. Not surprising. Again, the trade war thing, dollar weakness. I get it totally. I see that coming.
Swiss CAD, again, everything else is kind of stuck. It's inside the anchor right now, so it's not, a lot of other things are engulfed right now. And again, you're seeing conflictings. Obviously, in the 4 hour, this one is going down, but again, these two are linked because of the news that we saw tonight. This one and this one. All right. So jumping over into the Euro basket. So the Euro basket is interesting because we definitely have some conflicting signals here. Obviously, against the Aussie and the New Zealand, those are linked pairs. Again, we're seeing these two. We're seeing the Euro get strength based off of what the Australian kind of arena is going into. Now, the euro dollar, again, we already just talked about that one. That's the trade war. It wasn't a downtrend. It's an anchor break to the top side because of Japan basically saying, or China basically saying, oh, we're just going to wait this impeachment thing out and we're going to wait the other thing out. The only reason that they would assume that he's getting impeached is because, I don't know, because Democrats probably, I don't know, maybe they emailed them or something. Who knows? But I haven't seen anything that even remotely is close to basically saying that he's going to get impeached. And every day it's a different term. So I'm trying to keep track of it. I don't really know. So I'm not really sure why they would make a statement like that. But that's why we're seeing this dollar weakness. And you're seeing the anchor break on the euro to the top side. I do expect this one to retrace, though. Okay. And that's probably why you're seeing the downtrend set up on the hourly and the consolidation on the 4 hour. Okay. But then, again, we see this as euro strength, but then we see the euro weakness down here. And again, against the Swiss, the pound, as well as the yen. Okay, now you guys can see this one. The euro yen is downtrend set up on multiple time frames. So this one looks like it wants to drop through the floor. Again, had some movement that one today. That one wasn't a horrible position to take. Had you been looking at that one. And again, that was a bounce off the 4 hour kind of basing level on an upper level. If you were able to take it, I didn't see anybody post this one, but I'm sure somebody caught this one today. I'll cover that one in the chart. Actually, you know what? Let me just cover the chart real quick on that one. This is one from Nadex that we did, but you guys can see again, impulse, correction, impulse, correction, impulse. The last time this area was hit was back here. And again, it barely grazed the level. Again, basing, boom, straight back down again. Okay. So again, nice little entry. Risk was not huge on that one. It went down to the start of the move here and then ended up kind of coming up and then dropped down to a lower level. I don't see too much to the downside, so it is pulling back. We'll see if we can get a momentum shift back to the downside. I do think eventually this one will come back down, and I mean, who knows, maybe even down to this 119.62. But this was the setup off the 4 hour today during the daily downtrend setup into the 4 hour zone, collapse right back down again. And again, this one has now moved. Had you been short in this position, you're up about 35 right now. You were up about 60 at one point, about 62. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of my opinion, that it's wasting taxpayer dollars. Like, how much effort this year has been put into just trying to remove him from office, and he's still here. So I mean, like, whether he did anything or not. I mean, I didn't vote for him, but he's still there. How much time and resources have been put into trying to get him removed, right? And he's still there. So I mean, maybe he gets, I don't know, maybe he gets kicked out the last day. I don't know, but we're running out of time. His term is going to be completely up at this point before anything actually comes to fruition. you know. All right, so that's this pair. Let's go back to the scanner. All right, now that's euro. Looking at pound, pound is a little bit more mixed. All right, and as I mentioned, that like kind of no news is good news type situation. The pound has been kind of under the radar lately because we haven't really had a lot of CAD specific news, right? You can see in most of the CAD positions are all sideways up confirmed, meaning they are grinding higher. But again, all those positions are kind of in similar situations. It's been grinding higher for a while, and it's confirmed, and it's up there. And if we get any type of pullback in a red candle, we're getting uptrend setups. But it is running into areas of supply on everything. So we are kind of looking for some type of event where this thing can literally just turn and flip and drop. It's not there yet, but I'm like, I don't know. Next year we'll have a pip chip wager on a second term. I don't think there's a chance he's going a second term. I don't think that's happening. So that's all we got. So again, pound is rallying up again. You can see right here we are on this downtrend. So every single one of these things is saying strong, 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 strong. But I don't really see anything coming out of the pound that out of London is really telling me that, like, hey, this is something that, I mean, it's going up. I just don't see that. All right. I don't know. Waiting for some type of a short entry. Now, Aussie basket is the exact opposite of the spectrum. You guys are seeing it's basically down. Now, again, it's down consolidating. Only one of them is actually confirmed. Okay, we are seeing downtrend confirmed on, I'm sorry, downtrend setups on the hour and the 4 hour. So kind of an interesting situation there. Lower time frames are saying go, but again, it's getting into an area where there are buyers. Let me flip over to the chart so you can see it on this one, in particular the Aussie yen. Again, this is a pretty easy to see zone, and we talked about it last week on Thursday. That listen, we just bounced off of this. What's it going to do now? And it did. It rallied all the way back up again. It blew through this first stop, went all the way back up, grabbed them at this 4 hour, and then started to collapse back again. So we're pretty close, even though it's in somewhat of a downtrend setup right now. I don't know if I could actually say, hey, listen, we should go short in this position until we get back down to that zone. I mean, it's such a small range that we got to overcome. It's just not there yet. So I don't know. Hopefully overnight we get some movement. I'd be happy with tomorrow morning if we're starting in this zone. Um, I'm really hoping we just don't grind up a little bit into here, and that just puts us in like the middle of nowhere, right? So, I don't love that one. Okay. Um, oops. There we go. Back to the scanner. Now, CAD basket. Okay. CAD, when it's in a secondary pair, we are seeing weakness. When it's in a first pair, again, kind of the same thing. We're seeing weakness across the board. CAD yen will be something I think interesting to watch later this week as well. Maybe not so much for the oil number, but CAD yen is definitely going to be what I'm looking for the core retail sales. But also on, what is it? Hold on, where is it? For the CPI number Wednesday morning. Okay. Tomorrow night, we'll do a more in-depth detail look at CAD yen. That's, again, CPI, that's a CAD yen play, typically, okay? As well as his core retail sales. I'm going to probably take CAD yen there before the flash one just to remove the dollar from the equation, and go for, somewhat of a shorter-term binary, most likely in that one. We will see, all right? You're not registered to vote? Get registered. There's no reason not to. I'm going to state that's 95% one color. So even though I am registered, I still vote. It's kind of one of those things. Is like, does it really matter? Yeah, but no, you should definitely. If you have an opinion, you should definitely vote. Get out there and do it. It's our right to do it. I mean, if you're registered and you don't choose to vote, that is also your right. You know, I have a friend that's angry, like you didn't vote. That's why no, no, no. It's like, well, it's my right to vote. It's not my obligation to vote. That's why it's a free country, right? It's like options. Mac users don't vote. Here we go with the Mac users. Careful, angry Mac's gonna come in here and come to her rescue, and it's gonna be on. And then we have James, who's like kind of on he's in both camps. He's a PC user, but he has an iPhone, so we can't trust him. He's one of those guys we got to be careful of as well. All right. So again, watching out on the Aussie. I was really hoping. Again, it's funny. I actually miss the Aussie move. Like we don't have Aussie news at night. I'm like, oh man, can't they come up with something? Like I want Aussie news. Like I like the Aussie news at night trading so much, and now we don't have it this week, and it's kind of like, oh man, what's going on? It's like there's like a hole in my heart. So, we'll see. Hopefully next week, we see a little bit more out of it. All right, so let's go right back into the charts, and we'll cover the ones we didn't look at. Also, New Zealand. I hear there's a certain individual in this room that missed his profit target by a few pipettes today. He will go. We won't mention anything about him, but in the grand scheme of things, it really hasn't moved much. It's been very, very small. You guys can see there was a little bit of a piece over here. Again, this is one of the gap play pairs. You guys can see that it did bounce off the gap. Didn't give us really a ton of movement. I mean, again, it came back up again. You could have taken it off the gap, or you could have taken it off the smaller zone. Depending on, again, if this is I'm pretty sure this is the level that the unmentionable person was trying to target, and that's kind of the reaction. Like here, I'll draw a line for it. If he was going there, what is it, the smallest? I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure he missed it by like that. Actually, there it is. Pretty sure that's it. It might have been that guy. The guy that shall not be mentioned. The guy that posted that amazing beef rib picture. But I'm not going to, we're going to talk about it. No, it's not. No, he messed up on this one today. He didn't mess up, but I think he missed it. He may have been here. So I don't know. There's a couple. He may or may not have gotten out on that one. But again, gap set up on that one. You could have done the failure to go higher in this position. It would have been real close to getting filled. But again, you guys can see for 4 days, it's been basically sideways. You can see a little bit of a pop, but a 4 hour, basically sideways. No real action on this one. With the lack of news this week, again, without that nighttime move, kind of slow, right? Again, this may be more of a goal play than anything else. Looking at pound Aussie, again, you're going to see pound Aussie. Again, rallying. Pound Aussie is sideways up confirmed, sideways up confirmed, sideways up confirmed across the board. Basically meaning that everything is straight up, whether it be the daily, the 4 hour, or the 30 minute. Obviously, this is a 5 minute, not a 30. And there you go. You can see it's still up, right? So, yeah, it's kind of like, what are we going to run into? And the problem is, it's just been forever. I mean, like, look, I'm going all the way back. It's been since May of 2016 since we've been here last time. Okay. So looking at this zone, you can see what we're in right here. We're in a daily racetrack because we're right here right now. There's not really a whole lot until here up at 195.30, but that's not even the best area. That's just kind of where an area starts. You can see this is where the real area is, right? Where we've hit once and hit twice. So there's potentially some sellers here at 196 or 196.60, but really 198.50 is really the next rock solid on the upper time zone, on the upper time frame. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of like I want it to flip, but it's like this pair is a little bit weird, right? Now again, it could it can obviously bounce up that high, but I mean, look at this one. This one candle is you guys can see how much it is. I'm not even gonna repeat it. Okay. And by the way, that is 1 day. That entire movement is in 1 day. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. I can't really zoom in on it. But it's large. Again, if you guys can figure out what happened on June 23rd, 2016, I can tell you. I can tell you. And ends and exit. All right. But I don't think it's going to happen now in 1 day. Just FYI. But again, that's kind of the first time we have any type of a clean levels. We got a long way to go for that one. All right. Let's look at Euro Aussie. What? Our elite leader, Mr. Frontrunner. I don't know if she would have got that one or not. Also New Zealand? Probably not. I don't think she does. She doesn't do the Sunday night gaps. I don't believe. All right. So, Euro Aussie, you're seeing we are in a 4 hour zone right now. Okay. If I continue this across there, you can be a bit more conservative. So that's from this zone, and again, it's worked out pretty well. But I'd probably take this one up, um, on the safe side, and put it up in that area probably. Again, takes us a little bit out of the range. It is basing right before, which is best. But again, it is kind of in one zone right now. I did move it higher just to take a little bit more conservative an entry. And you're talking about 25 pips, but this can definitely move to the downside. Let's see, can we make this a little bit across? Yeah, we can just a little bit. Probably in that area. Let's see what we're able to shrink that to. 20. 20 is good for this one. Okay. ATR is about 77, so 20. That's not. It's doable. So I'd be looking for some type of a short. I think where I would take this one. Yeah, I'd say here, but it's only about 70. Probably. probably not horrible. See to the downside here, we're short entry, kind of taking on the smaller time frames. I looked to grab the 80. Again, you could always potentially hold this one back down, so you're clear here, and then clear here is another potential target to the downside. So a bounce, maybe a pullback to here, and then a secondary target down here. All right. So those are the two. Let's look at New Zealand dollar. That is it. Yeah, I thought that was the position, Ernest. Uh, Asleep at the smoker, maybe. No, he's probably in a food coma after eating it. I saw the post picture, so I know he's not at the smoker. But I will say, if I have to make one comment, right? I know there's always more than one, but if I had to make one comment, what I would ask him is, why does he have his corn smoking underneath of a beef rib that's going to drip fat all over it? Like, I've heard of buttered corn, but I haven't heard of greased corn. Maybe it's just a Texas thing. I don't know. But that was the only thing I was wondering from Ernest's food picture. See what I mean, Ernest? This is probably the problem. Thanks. All right. So as you guys can see in this one, right? This is actually one of the ones I used in the class. So if you guys are wondering what this 1 and the 2 over here was, is I was demonstrating what a 2-level break looked like. Okay, it's one of the things that I added into the terminology section in the parabolic retracement course. By the way, I need you guys to purchase a class and go through it and tell me where the errors are. I got to start doing. I got to start emailing all the people that there was like what 180 people that downloaded the news analysis report that I told them that I would email the information about the class. But I need you guys to go through it and see if you can find errors. Like I said, I'm good with numbers, but I am horrible at like grammar and stuff like that. So I need you, like people that are smarter than me, to go through the class and find all the errors in it. Tell me what's missing. All right. So this one is obviously pulling back from my 4-hour zone. You guys can see the entry would have been based off of, again, you could have taken the conservative entry up top, which would have been there. This one, obviously, there was a more minor level that you had the ability to take. Again, that would have been using this kind of extended, whoops, no, the lag got me. Would have been that level right there. I'll get rid of this little one. Gotta hate when that happens. Again, where we are right now, you can see it on the 4-hour. We are sitting in a level of a kind of a sideways movement of probably more of a buying area, but I think it's more of a pullback at this point. It's not the best one. This green wick really pulled back down below the wick over wick. And again, it basically went down to this bottom level. So I'm assuming that price is going to come back down to the 63.70 range. We'll see how this one goes. Not really my favorite. Like I said, this definitely would have been off a position on the side. Definitely a short, but I don't really love a whole lot in this. I think overall, I think the first profit target in this one would be sitting in this area right here. Would be here. I think your secondary profit target for any shorts needs to be down here. Okay, the start of this move down here at 63.38. Yep, that's perfect right there. We're beta testing. It's not really beta testing. It's kind of like, I don't know, because it is released to the public. Someone can find it and someone can purchase it. So it's kind of like, I don't even know what we call it, but it's not beta testing because it is available to the public. I mean, I guess maybe like an open beta, but it's there, right? All right. Let's see what we got on CAD yen real quick, and then I'm gonna bounce. Ernest had me looking up all kinds of stuff with Apple Pay and Google Pay, and it's no longer called Apple. It's no longer, well, I guess it is called Google Pay, but everybody calls it Android Pay. So I don't know. Trying to get all that stuff set up because Ernest says I have to have that kind of stuff. And every bone in my body is like, I don't want Apple Pay. I don't want Apple Pay. Yeah, the indicator's not there yet. Nope. I have like 1 or 2 more days of testing still on it, but it'll be there very soon. Yes. I know the indicator tool's not there. That's one of the things I do know. I'm also missing the forex, the trade journal sheet. That still needs to go online. It's almost completely written, but yes, that's missing also. You didn't catch that one yet, did you? Yeah, there's a couple things. There's a couple digital assets that are still in the process of being uploaded. Nadex Pay. Hey, speaking of Nadex Pay, James, I was talking to Nadex earlier, and I gave them a hard time because I still don't have any of my data for IG, and I said, hey, listen, I had 3 steps at the end of the class when you enroll in it. One of them is to make sure that you have a Nadex demo to click this link, and again, that's to help track it through me. 2, I said, you know what would be really nice right now? If I could put an IG logo right here so I could tell them to sign up for this. But you know what I'm going to put up there instead? I'm going to put the 20% off coupon link for Top Step because you guys can't send me, you know, the correct images and information. And I sent it to Nadex with a picture there, and I said, it'd be nice if I could put IG in here, but go ahead and show this to compliance, just so they can see that I had to put Top Step because your group can't get their shit together. No, I wasn't that mean with them, but I was thinking it. I was thinking it. So yeah, so I actually had the 20% off coupon inside of that course as well. If you click on it, you can see what other current specials are, and you get the additional 20% off. It's a nice little perk. But one of the nice things is because the Parabolic course is not only teaching how to trade it with Nadex, it also teaches you to trade it with spot currency. I was able to link both brokerage firms into it. So it was kind of a nice idea. And again, if you could have a funded account that does nothing but trade parabolic retracements, that's not your money, it's a great way to do it. I mean, heck, get a funded account and trade Sunday night gaps and parabolic retracements out of it, and that's it. Just do it that way, right? And think about it. I mean, how many of these will it take to pay the class off? Not much, right? So, all right. So that's it. CAD yen. Again, we popped up to an area which is pretty recognizable, right? You guys should have been able to grab this one. Here's your level of basing to the side. Okay, you guys can see it. It came and touched it. You may or may have not caught entry into it. Let's see, how far do we move? I don't know if this one would have been 511. Been real close on this one. I did not take this one, but this would have been a nice little. Well, entry may have been a little bit kind of depending on your broker, you may or may not have gotten about 12, 11, 12 risk. Again, there's your 32 pips. If you wanted to go to 36, again, you guys can see it went down to 30, 36 is right there. Okay, that is just a little bit above this zone here. It's actually, that's using this one. So again, valid target. It may have been close. You know, when they started to bounce back and forth, you've been like, oh, we're right there, just hit it. Again, 4-hour zone, downtrend setup based off the daily and the 4-hour. Again, it looks like a lot of movement here. It really wasn't as much. Okay, and again, it did go a bit down and kind of rallied up again. Where was this Friday? Yeah, absolutely no gap in that one either. All right, so that would have been the last one that you could have grabbed today. Like I said, I covered the majors with Nadex. I won't go over them again. There was at least 3, if not 4, gap plays from this weekend. Make sure you guys grasp that strategy. If you have problems with it, again, I'll have to make a video and show you guys how to do it. I think that's it, guys. Like I said, I didn't really do my, I didn't really trade at all today. I was really just trying to get that class up, and I edited the page about 3 different times and added this and added that, and made this a little bit better. And this was on mobile, and that was not on mobile, and this was on desktop only. Like you have no idea how long it takes to set up some of these pages. It's like so frustrating. Like I can write an entire course in a weekend, with like 6 hours worth of 6 hours worth of recordings. But man, it takes me like 2-3 days to put up like a sales page. I'm like, I don't know what to put on here. So it's all up. If you guys haven't been to it yet, go to it. https://retrace.keeptradingsimple.com, and you can actually find it from the products page off the regular main page. I've already linked that, and you can get to it from there. So any feedback, comments, anything like that is more than welcome. I appreciate it. And with that being said, I'm going to bounce. I'm going to go find my tea that the little one stole, and again, go start working on the email integration that I need to get done, as well as getting the indicator and the other things that Vanessa said that are not up there. All right. All right, guys. Oh yeah, let's do that. Let's do your tickets real quick. Hold on. Where is it? Yeah, I'll just pull another one for you guys. All right, boom. All right, let's go over here to the giveaways. All right, so I'll give you guys about 50 more seconds. Uh-oh, can anybody get in? Ernest just got in.
Wait, I had a question. All right, Ryan, what's your question? I have to give you guys oh, 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 Ernest, I think his question was, wait, pause so I can get my ticket in before you close it down because I didn't have one in. Ernest is like throwing keyboards, mice, everything right now. Just for the record, guys, Ernest is smashing keyboards. He was in for the last spot. Oh crap, I forgot to hit enter again on the everyone chart school starting. Well, thank you guys for attending because I forgot to hit the thing again. I hate when I do that. Oops. Um, no, it was above in the chat. That blue zone on New Zealand dollar. All right, let me go back. Yep, that blue zone on New Zealand dollar. Would it be authentic since it was a touch in the red zone? Why would it not be authentic? What red zone? You mean this one here? Oh, sorry. Trolling you, Ryan. This box, would this one be authentic? You're asking, is this, hold on, that blue zone on New Zealand 4-hour wouldn't be authentic, would it? Since it was a touch of reserve. Why wouldn't it be authentic? I mean, it's a strong move out of an area, and again, it created a lower high than the previous high. So I mean, technically, it would be a smaller time frame level. I mean, really, you could shrink it, but again, it's you really got to kind of cover the like. So here, I could do this to make it better. So I mean, again, is that whole area the move? No, not really. I mean, I could shrink it to here and say, okay, there's really the basing level, and there's the level of risk. And again, you may say, okay, well, I hit it here, missed here, missed here, missed here. It shows you're probably getting a little bit small in the trade. But again, there is the wick over wick here. So this wick over wick, I probably would have just done it from there. That gives you the top risk and it bisects the wick over wick. Yeah, I mean, look at the formation. I mean, look at the formation. Now remember, pretend this didn't exist, right? I mean, if you can't remember, you can't see anything back here, so you know that it is in a zone, right? But again, here's your rally, your base, and your drop, right? And again, part of the reason why I'm marking it off is because look at this candle, right? This candle is 30 pips, okay? The ATR during this time frame, during that time frame, is about 21. So it's obviously an explosive candle, right? So being an explosive candle, that means, hey, there's definitely something sitting up here. And if I waited for the red, okay, right here, I'll delete the blue. If I waited for the red, did I get filled? Answer is no. What happened to me? I got front run, right? So again, you got to look in there and be able to snag these things, right? Now again, could you have said, okay, well, I took this one too, and I got stopped out? You could have, right? But again, this zone would have been a little bit, again, is it, you know, yes, you could have done it here, but we already know there's sellers here, and they're so close. I mean, we're talking about a difference between 10 pips. I'll take the 10 pips and go for the higher zone. And you can see it did come up, it did base along that level, right? And then pulled back, grabbed more orders here, and then pushed forward. So, I mean, yes, had you used this even, you would have got, it went back to where it was supposed to, but the risk to reward ratio really wasn't there for, here down, right? But here, had I waited for that zone, sure, you could have waited for that zone. But when you look at it on a lower time frame, yeah, you can say, hey, listen, there's a blue started here, went up, and then boom, it just collapsed. So use that because again, had this been one solid candle, you saw nothing there, you would have marked off that level.
That makes sense. All right. All right. So with that being said, he was like, "All right, I'm gonna get in here now too. Now that it's. All right, closing the giveaway down. Bam. Nobody else can enter. So 10 of you in. It's like 10 people enter. One person exit. Winner is. Oh, Sean. Hold on. How soon did he do it? Was he first tonight? No, James was first. I don't even know when you got in. Oh, there you go. Got in here. All right. So it wasn't all the way there. All right. Giveaway is complete. All right. Let me give you your pip chips. Right there. All right. 25. Perfect. All right. So you guys are good. Hopefully that explained it. Middle-ish. Yeah. What is it saying? Every dog has his day or something like that. At least it wasn't Ryan, because if it was Ryan, my God, the memes would have been flowing tonight. Nothing against you, Ryan, but hold on, ticket. That was awesome. So, all right, guys, I'm out of here. I will catch you guys tomorrow. I will be around most of the morning. So again, if you have any trade questions that come up, definitely shoot messages off. And again, if anybody's having a hard time getting that 3-hour, 30-minute, 5-minute on your scanners, please let me know. And again, anybody that gets enrolled into the parabolic retracement course, right? Anybody gets into this, definitely give me a message and let me know if you guys have any errors or run into any problems with it. All right, I can test it, but I'm always logged in, and let me know. All right, so you guys take care, and I will catch you guys tomorrow.